And I was like, oh my God, that's it. That's the answer. Tomorrow morning, you are going to launch yourself out of bed like a rocket. You're not going to be in that bed when that anxiety hits, Mel Robbins. Now look, it could have been the 4 bourbon Manhattans I had that night that gave me that idea. Because I was, sounds kind of stupid and I was drinking an awful lot. But I'll tell you what. The very next morning, actually it was a Tuesday in February 2008. Tuesday in February 2008. The alarm went off. That's what happened. And then I saw something unmistakable. Never seen it before. And once I explain this to you, you will never unsee this, and you will wonder, why have I never seen this before? There is a very distinct window of time in your life. It's there all the time, you guys. The alarm goes off, that's what happened. And when the alarm went off, I immediately remembered that dumb idea, to launch myself out of bed. And then I made this critical mistake that you're making every day in your life. I stopped to think about what to do instead of doing what I needed to do. And as I stopped to consider and do what psychologists call a bias toward thinking, what ends up happening is, as you start thinking and hesitating, within 5 seconds, you start drifting into your old patterns and you suddenly don't want to do what you feel like doing. And I found myself that morning, as I thought I should launch myself out of bed. And then I thought, no, I don't think so. It's kind of cold and this bed is really warm and I'm 800 grand in debt, and how the hell is getting out of bed gonna happen? I'm kind of hungover anyway and I don't really feel like it. It's awfully cold and it's February and screw that. And as I was reaching for the snooze button, just as I had done every single morning for the last 8 months, it had become a habit, a coping mechanism, a way to avoid what I didn't want to face. I simply started counting backwards. I don't even know why. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then I stood up. And I was like, whoa, that's weird. And I went on with my day. The next morning, same thing happened. I immediately remembered that dumb idea when the alarm went off. I immediately, no, I don't want to, I don't feel like 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm up again. Strange. Now, I'm kind of cynical. Very resigned person, cynical person. So by the third morning, the alarm goes off. Again, I remember it, I don't feel like it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I stand up, I'm like, okay, whoa, this is weird. This is very weird, but come on. So you invented something irritating to help you get out of bed? How the hell is this gonna help? And I'm like, whoa, 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 whoa. Your life is circling the drain. What if God gave this to you? What if this is some magic spell? What if this is some weird thing that, has been gifted to you? What if you just make a bet with yourself that any moment today, when you know what you should or could do, but you don't feel like it, what if you just secretly try this counting thing? What if the universe should give this to you? What if, this is sort of some weird alternate universe fantasy thing that's about to happen? You should try it. So I said, okay, for one day, anytime I know what I could or should do, but I don't feel like doing it, I'm gonna count backwards and see what happens. So, I walk out of the bedroom at Thursday now. And I see my husband. My husband, Chris, is standing in front of the refrigerator and he's looking for something to eat. And as I see him, you know how that thing happens where you see somebody you love and you just want to kill them? You know how that happens? So poor Chris is standing there minding his own business. I come around the corner but then I go, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And it was weird, all of a sudden, all of that emotion, I could settle back in my body and speak to the man from a place of my values and from what I wanted, because I didn't want to get a divorce. I didn't hate him, I loved him. But I was just so afraid. I didn't think we were gonna get out of this. And it's so much easier to be angry and frustrated than it is to be afraid. But I 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 settled myself and was able to talk to him from a place of my values. I see my sneakers. I know, you know that you need to exercise. You know it's good for your brain and for your body, but do you ever feel like it? No, neither do I. So I see my sneakers, I'm like, I should 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm out the door. I see the phone. I don't know about you, but I hate people. I hate networking, I hate calling them, I hate asking for anything, but I need a freaking job. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm picking up the phone. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm picking up the phone. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm picking up a phone. For those of you guys that hate cold calling, say hello to the 5-second rule. It'll change your life. It'll change your life. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm walking away from the bourbon. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm telling my friends what's going on. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, I'm calling the bank. And I'll tell you what, my life did not change overnight. It started to change over time. Because I started changing the small little actions I was taking in these 5-second windows. I started pushing through self-doubt. I started pushing through fear. I started pushing through procrastination. I started pushing through all the shit that holds you back. And Chris started using it. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, they're going into the restaurants and renegotiating leases. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, they're restructuring the P&L. And 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, they're working 100 hours a week. And I'll tell you, it took about 3 years. And we slowly got to a point where we could pay our bills, where we were not screaming at each other every night, where the drinking was under control and things were getting back on track. And you know, the truth is, you guys, I didn't tell anybody about this 5-second thing. Nobody but Chris. Because first of all, it sounds stupid. I mean, oh, you guys want to make more money and be happier? Count to 5. Speech is over. I'm out. Second, I actually had no idea why it worked. No clue. I had been rolling for 3 years with the story that this was a magic spell that God gave me. That's 100% what I believed. Well, that all changed. That all changed in 2011. So in 2011, I get a phone call from my former roommate in college, and she says, hey, Mel, somebody is putting on this event in San Francisco, and she's looking for a speaker that can talk about career change. And you've changed your career more times than an ABBA cover band changes their outfits. And so, you know, they're offering 2 plane tickets and 2 nights at the St. Regis. And you know, when you're $800,000 in debt, you have liens on your house, which we still did, that sounds like a free vacation. So I said, yes, I'll go give a speech. Turned out to be a TEDx conference. If you've ever seen my TEDx talk, what you are witnessing, guys, is a 21-minute long panic attack. If you look closely at the photo, you will notice I'm starting to get that neck rash that people get when they're either drunk or they are, you know, very nervous. And about 19 minutes into this was not about the 5-second rule. 19 minutes into this, I am so full of anxiety, I am disassociated on that stage. I don't know where I am, and I forget how I'm supposed to end this thing. And I look out at the audience, and I'm like, oh, I know. There's this thing I do. I call it the 5-second rule. The moment you have an instinct to act, you gotta move within 5 seconds, or else your brain will kill your instinct to move. Thank you very much. And I left. And then I came back out and I'm like, oh, by the way, if you have any questions, here's my email address. I kid you not. A year goes by. 2 crazy things happen. First of all, this goes viral to the tune of 28 million views. And that's not the crazy part. You guys want to know what the crazy part is? People started to write to me at that email address. And by people, I mean strangers. Hey Mel, I heard about that thing and I've been using it and I'm on pace to double my business. I'm present with my kids. Mel, I started using this 5-second rule thing and it's unbelievable. It's great for networking. People are calling me back. Mel, I rolled this out to my team. We are more productive than ever. Hey Mel, you know, I took this back to my team. Should you take it back to yours? Of course you should if you want to win sales awards. Should you teach it to your children?
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
You gotta be really careful with that. I mean, because they will use it back on you, okay? And then the really incredible things started to happen. Like never in a million years did I think something so simple would be so extraordinarily powerful, especially when it comes to managing addiction. At this point, with 12 million followers online, we hear from people every single day, all around the world, in clinical settings, in hospitals, in treatment centers. We hear from people that are managing sobriety or getting sober about how effective this is as a tool. We're gonna get into the science as to why it works, how you can use it. It's really effective with OCD redirection, PTSDs, veterans clinics using it. But I'll tell you something. Never in a million years did I think that something that I created during one of the worst moments of my life would actually help save lives. So this was the first time that I ever saw publicly somebody saying that they had used the 5-second rule to stop themselves from attempting suicide. And I immediately reached out. Yes, it's incredible. And we went back and forth, in the messages on Twitter, and Steve told me the story. And so Steve is a veteran, and like way too many veterans, he struggled with PTSD, and he boarded a ferry overseas with the intention of jumping over. And he gets up to the railing, and these are his words, not my words. He's trying to get the courage, to jump over. And somewhere in that moment inside, he's like, this is not the answer. And he went 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and moved away from the railing. And he saw a person in uniform. And what's interesting is he sees this person in uniform, and what you now know is that there's always this moment of hesitation, right? He knows he should ask for help. But he stops and he starts thinking, oh my God, like what's this guy gonna think, and how am I gonna do this, and blah, blah, blah. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 again, ask for help. And they have an ambulance waiting for him. And he's doing great. He's doing great. And since then, we have heard thousands of stories. And look, I don't know where you are in your life. I don't know if you are at the highest high or you at the lowest low. But I do know one thing. There's a very big difference between wanting to end the pain or the frustration or the fear that you're feeling and wanting to end it all. You can face this. The end is never the end until it's the end. And this moment is temporary, whether it's amazing, whether it's mighty low. And you have so much more power than you believe. And we're gonna unlock it today. Now, before we get into how you're gonna do it and the science and how you can use it and all the amazing ways that it's gonna help you to use this little count backwards technique, I have a few disclaimers. If you want the license plate, you gotta get moving because they're starting to go in all the states. And since we are in Vegas, I need to say a couple things. The 5-second rule is for pushing yourself through fear, pushing yourself through self-doubt. It's for courage and confidence, for pulling yourself away from things that are damaging and destructive to you. This is not for signing a contract. This is not for getting married. This is not for doing anything that's going to get you in trouble legally or with compliance. Please do not use this to place a big bet tonight that's going to make you lose your house. And for crying out loud, if you feel inspired to get a tattoo here in Vegas, could you please wait more than 5 seconds before you slap something like this on your arm? The rose does not make it any better. And what the hell is he thinking? This is the ugliest thing I have ever seen in my entire life. It is also on the thigh. It's not like you can see it really well. Oh my God, we get tattoos almost every day. And of all the tattoos that I have received about the 5-second rule, this guy right here is my favorite. This is my favorite. Let me tell you why. That's your life. That's your business. That's the real estate market. It is an infinite loop of things that are going to happen to and around you, none of which you can control. Infinite loop of things that are going to just blow your heart wide open. It's going to be so incredible. You're going to have the best years of your life. They're ahead of you. Don't you love thinking that the best years in your business are ahead of you? That some of the best friends that you will have in your life you haven't even met yet, and they probably in this room. So empowering. And I'll tell you what else is going to happen is that you're going to have some heartbreaking things happen. You're going to lose people that you love. You're going to have years where you struggle. It's going to blow your heart wide open, and you cannot change any of that. But what you can do is you can focus on that 5-second window that you do control. What do you do next? What do you say next? What do you do in response to what's going on? And that's the secret to everything, because that's where the control is. You don't have to worry about what's coming, because you know when it comes. You will be able to settle into your body, to make the right decision, to push yourself through the fear, and that's where your power is. Just ask Kyle.
Not only has 54321 helped me overcome an addiction to the snooze button, but it's also helped me to stay sober and away from substances. Even in finding out that my grandma's cancer was back this weekend, where normally that would send me into a spiral, to make some choices that were not in my best interest. 54321, I'm able to stay strong for my family, keep my career going, and continue the good progress I've made after 3.5 years of sober.